It is a 2D CNC system. It moves the fence and it raises and lowers the bit. It has, everything works from this little pendant here. You set your calibration. I'm going to do all this with the router off. I'm having a hard time seeing. I went to the eye doctor today and got dilated. So instead of losing a finger, I'm going to do this with the power off. This will all move, but it'll show you. It says run bit calculation. Run. This, and you get a touch plate.
Oh my goodness.
Your touch plate has a magnet and this aluminum plate. You put your magnet, what am I doing here? Put your magnet here. You confirm that you've made good contact. Then you press OK, and it raises the bit until it touches the plate. And then you accept that. Then you run the fence calibration. I'm going to move the fence a little closer so it won't have so far to go. And raise the bit because you want the fence and the plate to touch. Now you turn the bit to the widest point where one of the edges is closest to the fence. Put this up here. You confirm that it makes good contact, and then press OK, and it moves that fence ever so slowly until it barely touches that fence. Backs away. Now, you're calibrated.
So
Just back out of the way.
pieces are just for calibrating the...
You're calibrating, you're setting, you're telling the machine where the bit is, where the fence is.
Oh, okay, got it. That makes sense.
Now, you would back off. So you can put you have to be able to get to that, put your little magnet on your bit. Then you have a variety of apps. These are built onto the machine. Biscuit slots, box joints, dados, repeating dados, half-blind dovetails, sliding dovetails, through dovetails, fluting, keyhole, pocket holes, step and plunge, tongue and groove, and lock miter. All those apps are built in. So all you do is you set your bit up, calibrate it, get over here to your apps, pick one. I did this earlier when I could see. Press to run. I'm going to do box joints. And you come in and you tell it your bit height, your, that got erased. Okay, you put in, I think it's 3/4. total pin clearance, and this is in thousands, so you can make it as tight. I did this earlier. Like I said, I'm gonna do this without running the router. But the pin clearance is how much slack you want in here. And you can actually do it in thousands. And it was, I think I figured out that 0.015 worked out really good. Material width. If I remember right, that was 3.5. 3.5. Okay. That's a bit diameter. And then you're ready to run. Now that it knows everything, you run. It says run male box joint. It says ready to run. Are you ready? Yes. You would run your first. This may not be the right piece. You would run your first piece. You hit OK. It moves it. That 15 thousandths that I put in there for clearance. You'd run it again. This is what the fence is for. And you just keep going. Then you run the pins.
Oh, is yours a shot? Your CNC?
I'm a router, my CNC is.
That's what I'm saying, your CNC.
You run your pins, same way, steps it over, 1, 2, 3, 4, steps it over, and this is how it comes out every time.
Nice.
Did the setup come with the tabletop, or did you have to modify
You what now?
your system? Does it come with the top, or did you have to modify? Yes.
Yes, it comes with this,
Okay.
and the electric lift that's under it. The good thing about this is you don't ever take this plate off. I mean, if the plate comes and you bolt it down, you don't ever have to go back there anymore. Once you get all your wires put in and everything put in.
You just take that little red insert out to change bits?
Say again?
You just take that little red insert out to change bits?
Yes. Change your bits, and like you say, it.
Make it easier to
It's got-
have a lift all the way up button.
It's got 3 different plates that come with it. I've got vacuum. The vacuum works pretty good. I had to jury rig it, but I'm gonna get an elbow and a piece like this and extend this off the back and hook my vacuum up back there. It's a pretty simple system once you get used to the 3 or 4 setup things that you have to go through. This comes off if you don't need this anymore. This loosens here and comes off. This has angle gauge. You really want to get sexy and do something. Angles. But this was started because I had a little project. In fact, it was building that bench for my son. That little quarter round that I had to build ended up being about a 2-hour project instead of a damn 20-minute project. And that's what started it, and I found out that my lift mechanism underneath was broken. And so that's what started this whole circuit. And I asked a couple of guys, I asked Owen, and he kind of spurred me on. He said, well, if I was going to change it, I would go to a CNC type. And so that's when I got to looking at this. But it's got a lot, like I say, a lot of built-in different apps. And I just got this put together yesterday, so I have yet to play with it very much. I did this as an example, but that's really how simple it is. And of course and you don't have to use the apps at all. You want to run a dado, you zero your fence and zero your bit, and it tells you across the top right here where your fence and your table are. So you don't have to get out a measuring tape or anything. You just run it. When you jog, let's say you want to move it over just a hair, you get to set up how much it jogs at a time. You can do it a 16th, a 32nd, quarter, eighth, all kinds of 1/10, a 16th, a 32nd, and 1/100. So you can move it. You can move it in any increment that you want to jog. Like you say, if you just touch the button once, it's going to jog 1/100. So it's extremely accurate. It really is. Anything to add, Mr. Owen, since you have a shark?
No, just a couple things I remember, because I use something like this.
Yes.
Like if you're doing 1/2-inch dados or 1/2-inch box joints on something that doesn't have a nice measurement, like 3 1/4 inches.
Right.
With this one, you kind of have to figure the center and you work yourself out, and then you determine your start. But assuming when you enter the width, the program determines how many will fit and
Right.
kind of spaces it properly for the beginning and the end.
Also, when it comes, and as I was reading, when it comes to doing like beading or whatever, you can set the distances you want that to be different. You can set the setback for the first one,
Right.
and then you can set if you want a particular gap in between, or if you want 3 and you want a 1-inch setback on each side and you want 3 gaps, it'll do that. And you just you take this off, you take that stop block off, and you just run them like a regular router.
Right.
It does keyhole for those that do picture hanging keyhole things. You set it down, the bit comes up, the fence moves back, and the bit drops down. It's and it does it pretty quick. It's amazing. You could sit there and do, if you had a bunch of work to do, you could do that pretty quick. But like I say, I'm still playing with it. It's still an amazing piece so far. I've yet to run through all the apps, but it'll take some time to run through them. And some of the there's a website. It's not actually Shark, but it's somebody else that does. They've got 9 videos on the different apps, and this guy runs through the videos, and I'm running through those. But it's pretty straightforward, even though it's CNC. Shark makes it pretty easy with their little panel and the zeroing plate and all of that. It makes it pretty easy.
Legacy plates, would that fit? Like if you wanted to upgrade, you had
It's a standard plate.
Standard plate, so you can take your old one out and replace it with this guy. And when you bought it, did you have to buy this also?
It comes with the fence and the lift.
And the plate, okay.
And the pendant.
Right.
And a power supply. And you go from there.
Okay. So if you already have a table set up.
Yes, if you already have a table set up, you're ready to go.
Take the old one out, put the new one in.
Yep. Just got to have some room somewhere to put your power supply And,
Yeah, the controller.
I have a switch for the router. And it's independent, so you gotta have your plug set up.
Well, that's a good question. So it does not control router power?
No,
There's no start and stop on the pendant? Okay.
No. Router power is on your own.
Okay.
And, so I did all the wiring underneath. And, you gotta have a plug for the power supply, and then you gotta have a plug.
Yeah. One hot, one switch.
A switch plug for your router.
Did you modify the table,
No.
Johnny?
I already had this bottom, I already had this set up. If y'all remember, this was over there and had a cast iron table and had this fence on it. And, so I had the router and I had the cabinet, and I bought this table because the cast iron table would not work with this router lift. So,
Did you modify the tabletop for the fence?
no.
No, it was already, you already had the slots in it?
I bought the tabletop from Craig. This is the Craig tabletop.
Gotcha, all right.
And so, that cast iron table I had was actually an old shaper table. And I had a machinist do some work on it so that I could fit that quarter cable bracket up under the bottom. And when that broke, it broke on the screw hole. I said, I'm not going there. So I just went ahead and went with a different system. And so far, it's been fun to play with. I'm looking forward to doing easy projects because, as y'all well know, when you try to sneak up on something,
Yeah.
when you're trying to get a round over just the right height or whatever, and all of a sudden it's got a little lip on top or something, you can just jog it up, and you're done. Hopefully it'll make routing and a lot easier and a lot faster. Safer, yeah, safer too. You're not so much in the way. And if you were doing a lot, I went ahead and bought it. It's got a foot switch over there, so you could step on it instead of reaching up here and pushing the button. Step on it, jog it over, step
Oh, I
on it.
see. It'll go to the next set.
It jogs, moves over,
Gotcha.
like when you're doing